Hi guys, today we're going to be making this really pretty maxi dress, and I did combine two of my previous tutorials together to make it. I used my high-low peplum top and how to make pattern pieces tutorial. So if you haven't seen that yet, definitely make sure you check it out. I show you 3 different ways from easy to a little bit more advanced on how to make your bodice pattern pieces that we're going to use to make this dress today. And my long circle skirt tutorial using a bed sheet. But today I'll show you guys how to do this with fabric and how to figure out how much fabric you'll need. Combined together, you end up with this really pretty maxi dress. And I will have a link below for all of the supplies as well as the fabric that I used today. To start off, you should already have your sleeve pattern, and we're not going to make any changes to that. You should also have your front and back bodice pieces with just a few alterations. For the front bodice, I did add a princess seam, but if you guys can see, I marked it a little bit off. It should be where the green arrow is pointing, and this is why you should not sew when you're tired. I didn't have time to refilm it and show you guys correctly, so if you would like to see a tutorial for that, leave me a comment below and I'll add the link to the description box when I post it. For the back piece, the only changes you will make is if you're going to add a zipper to your dress. So I traced the front bodice, and then I added a 1/2 inch of seam allowance where you see the green lines here, and then I also raised my neckline up a little bit higher. This way, you're going to cut your fabric where you end up with 2 pieces instead of cutting it along the fold with only 1 piece. And again, only if you're adding the zipper, you'll take those 2 pieces of fabric, line them up nice and neat, and you're gonna go ahead and sew a basting stitch down the center using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And a basting stitch is just using your widest stitch without back stitching. Then go ahead and press that down. Once you've done that, you're ready to attach both of your bodice pieces. You just want to line those up with right sides facing right sides. Make sure it's nice and neat, pin it down, and sew down each side and the top. Then you're ready to go ahead and make your waistband, and I'm using the pattern from my previous tutorial. I have all the same seam allowances, except I did make the width wider and I added a 1/2 inch seam allowance in the center. So you're going to use 3 different pieces, and for this one you want to line it up without including that seam allowance. I did this because I didn't want to make a couple of different pattern pieces and it's just a little bit easier. But you end up with 1 piece for your front waistband like so, and you'll cut out the other 2 pieces with the exact measurements on the waistband. You can go ahead and move that pattern, and you'll go ahead and attach your pieces together. Line them up. And you'll go ahead and sew down each side. And you're also going to do another basting stitch in the center using the 1/2 inch seam allowance. If you're not adding the zipper, then you can just do the 2 pieces of fabric for your waistband. This is what it should look like when you're done. I actually serged my sides down. I'm so excited, you guys. I have a serger. I'm still working on it and getting my technique and making sure all my tension is right, but I love it. And you also have your basting stitch right here, and you just want to go ahead and press that open as well. Now you're ready to attach your waistband to your bodice. Make sure that your bodice is folded right sides out, and I just turn it over in the back so this way I can make sure all of my seams line up nice and neat. You want your waistband piece to fold it inside out, and the part that's larger on mine is actually going to be the top of my waistband. So when I tuck my bodice into that, I make sure that that part is on the bottom. Go ahead and line it up nice and neat, pin all the way around, and then you're going to sew all the way around using whatever seam allowance you decide on. And this is what it should look like once you've done that. And now you're ready to attach your zipper if you're going to use one. I'm using an invisible zipper here that I already pressed out. And I'm going to line that up with right sides facing down. I'm going to make sure it's right in the center there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and pin it down. Now I'm just doing a quick recap for you guys for this because I already did this technique in my second circle skirt tutorial where I showed you guys how to do this with your waistband. So if you want to see more details on it, definitely check out that tutorial. And again, I'll have the link below. You pin all the way down, and you're going to sew down one side and then sew down the other. And I'm just showing you guys here, since I didn't really need the zipper, I only went down to about 1/2 inch above the bottom of my waistband. If you need this zipper because you're sewing, with a woven fabric, extend that basting stitch into your circle skirt. Once you've sewn that, all you do is take your seam ripper and take out your basting stitch, and you end up with this really nice hidden zipper. And it's an easy way to sew your zipper. You can use an invisible zipper or you can use a regular zipper. Now we're ready to figure out your circle skirt measurements and how much fabric you will need. Starting off with your circle skirt measurement, the first thing I did was measure my length, and I measured that from the bottom of my waistband down to the length I desired, and that was 47 inches. Your next measurement will be your B measurement, and you want to measure your waist. You can use the bottom of your waistband if you're making the dress, or you can just measure your waist if you're making the circle skirt by itself. Next, for your C measurement, you're going to divide B by 6.28. So no matter what your waist measurement was, you want to go ahead and divide that by 6.28. Next, you'll add your A and C measurements together. So I added 47 plus the 4.77, and that gave me 51.77. I rounded up to 52. Next, we'll figure out how much fabric you need. Start with your D measurement, which was your total length, and you're going to take that measurement and add your seam allowance. I'm using 1 inch of a seam allowance because I'm going to do a rolled hem at the bottom of my skirt. If you're folding your fabric over, you may want to add additional seam allowance. You're going to go ahead and multiply that number by 4 and then divide it by 36. 36 is the number of inches in 1 yard, so now you'll know how many yards of fabric you need. So I multiplied 53 times 4, divided that number by 36, and that gave me 5.88 yards of fabric for my circle skirt. Next, I'm going to show you guys how to mark your circle skirt on your fabric. And you guys seem to like the last tutorial I did where I showed you with paper. So I'm going to be using 2 sheets of paper taped together today. Now I purchased a total of 6.5 yards, and I only used the 5.88 yards for my circle skirt. So I cut out the 5.88 yards, and this is what this sheet of paper will be representing today. Now you want to make sure that your fabric is wide enough for your length. So for me, I know that I want it to be 53 inches. So when you unfold your fabric, you want that width to be at least the amount of your total length. When you buy your fabric by the bolt, as you can see in this picture here, you'll be able to look at the fabric and see how wide it is. And usually if you're purchasing it online, it should already have that information listed. All right, you guys, so then all you're going to do from there is you'll fold your fabric in half, and then you're just going to cut it where you folded it at. Once you've done that, you should have 2 pieces of fabric, and for me, each piece of fabric is almost 3 yards. Go ahead and place one of those pieces to the side, and we'll start working on your circle skirt. So all you're going to do here is fold your fabric in half, and then you're going to fold it into this triangle shape here. You're not going to have this much fabric left over because this is a sheet of paper, so it's not completely accurate, but just for reference, you guys. You probably have about that much fabric left over. Now you're ready to go ahead and start marking your measurements. And you're going to want to use your measuring tape for this. And in this example today, I'll be using this piece of piping to act as my measuring tape. And you just want to place that at the top corner of your fabric. And then you're going to move your fabric over, measuring at your total length, which is 53 inches for me. So you'll make dashes marking your total length all the way around your fabric. And then you're going to do the same at the top for your waist measurement. So when you divided your waist by 6.28, take that number and mark that along the top using the same technique. Go ahead and connect your lines. And then you can go ahead and cut out your fabric. And you can trace this piece when you're done, so you'll have a pattern in the future and you won't have to go through all these steps again. And I do also use the scrap fabric to make the bodice and the waistband for my dress. And then I use the additional yardage I had to make my sleeves. And here's what your piece of fabric should look like when you unfold it. You're going to have 1/2 of your circle skirt, and then you'll repeat the same steps on your other piece of fabric, and you'll end up with these 2 pieces here. Now they're not exact because I was just kind of eyeballing it to show you guys, but you'll have these 2 pieces of fabric for your complete circle skirt. Place them together, line up your open edges, and you're just going to sew or serge down each side. And you'll end up with a really pretty and flowy circle skirt. You can't tell in the paper, but it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. And next I'm going to show you guys just a few tips and tricks since some of you had some issues with your fabric lining up and being straight. I took a straight pin and put that in the hole at the top of my measuring tape. If you don't have a hole, you can just stick the pin into the top, but you can see this way when you move it, you make sure that your measurement is accurate all the way around. And go ahead and mark your dashes. And then go ahead and connect your line. And you can do the same thing for the bottom of your fabric as well. And I also added these straight pins just to make sure everything was straight when I cut it out. And also press your fabric if you have any wrinkles to make sure everything's lined up. Alright you guys, now all you have to do is attach your bodice to your circle skirt. With your bodice facing right sides and your circle skirt turned inside out, go ahead and line up your side seams. And you'll pin all the way around. And the only thing you'll have left to do is add your sleeves, which I show you how to do in the high-low peplum top tutorial. And that's it. You end up with this really pretty maxi dress. I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. Definitely make sure that you guys catch up with me on Instagram and Twitter at Nadira037, on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Nadira037, and make sure you guys check out my blog, Nadira037.com. And if you try this tutorial out, make sure that you guys tag me using @Nadira037 and #037 so I can see your pictures. And these are a few of the tutorials that I referenced earlier in this video. These will help you guys make your circle skirt or this maxi dress. You can click the links or I'll have the information down below for you as well. And these are a few of my other DIY and sewing tutorials that you may enjoy. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Be sure to subscribe for more tutorials if you have not yet. Leave your comments or questions below. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and feel free to share. And remember, if I can do it, so can you. Until my next video, Assalamu alaikum. Peace.